Bryant, over to you. Same question. What are the misperceptions of what DEI work really is?
I'd start with the with the foundational misperception in my mind is that DEI is a zero-sum game. If people of color or people that are marginalized are gaining, white people are losing. That is not the case. There's a terrific book written by a woman named Heather McGhee, M-C-G-H-E-E, called The Sum of Us. And she talks about a dividend, a cooperation dividend, right, that allows people to, if they collaborate, if they work together, to build and do things that otherwise wouldn't happen. There's a gentleman named Raphael Bostic, who is the southeastern head of the Federal Reserve Bank of the United States in the Southeast, black man, and he says that racism costs over $18 billion a year just in his region. And to kind of pull that back a little bit, right? If you think about it in its most basic terms, going all the way back in history, right, to awful institution of slavery, that person who was tending a field, doing menial labor, could have been inventing something 100 years earlier. The lost capacity of that person, you think about that exponentially across 200 and some odd years, and continuing on to people where people are marginalized or less than. Another great read, another great book written by a woman named Isabel Wilkerson called Caste, C-A-S-T-E. She really defines that, right? She talks about, when we hear the word caste, we think of India, we think of, traditional caste systems that we've been taught. But what she does is she compares and contrasts the caste system of India, of Nazi Germany, and the United States. And she makes a very powerful case of the caste system in the United States. And the lubricant of that system is, you've all heard this, is just an incredible put down and an incredible inhibitor of growth, is stay in your place. I've heard that in my career in the last 4 years. This isn't over, right? This doesn't just evaporate when we make advancements in opportunities and a lot of the things that have happened in the struggle, right, since 1865, when some things obviously changed much for the better. That said, 100 years later, in the 1960s, MLK and Malcolm X and everyone were still fighting for rights that hadn't been fully, voting rights, housing, that hadn't been fully inherited, right? I'm gonna ask a question to amplify this. Anyone venture to guess what the biggest welfare program in the history of the United States has been? Anyone? It's the GI Bill. Welfare, just the name has a connotation, right? An imagery that has been emblazoned into our heads. The GI Bill, you go to war, very Roman. You go to war, you survive, you face bullets, you come back, you get the spoils of war. In this case, from 1945 to 1955, roughly, housing, education, right? And if you were a soldier, that's what you got, unless you were black. You got neither of those, because de facto segregation in housing, in the schools that you could go to. And from that one piece of legislation till today, it is the but the primary reason that white household income in the United States is 8.5x that of black household income. We don't learn those things at school. So those misperceptions fuel all of that. And I'm putting it in a broader sense of the world rather than just sports, but it permeates everything that we do, right? Make sure to read Heather McGhee's book, read Caste by Isabel Wilkerson, read The Warmth of Other Suns by Isabel Wilkerson. The way that you get through this, to your point, is work. Like everything else that's, you get value from, it's work. Right? And it's easy work, it's not hard work, just that taking our apertures from here to here, will change your perception and change the way that you see DEI and you see race in North America. And I mention the States a lot because that's where I reside most of the time now. Canada has its own flavor, actually, right? But it allows you to open your aperture and think about the world a little bit differently, in a way that you can flow through it in a more positive way and gain and allow everyone to gain and advance.